chef and writer. So basically what that means is that for a living I collect things. I collect wild mussels, hunt wild boar, dive for abalone, urchin, collect seaweed, just all the things nature has to offer. And then I put them into these big meals that I call the wild kitchen, these big 8-course feasts. So what is foraging? Foraging is basically collecting anything that is not cultivated. You know, it seems kind of obvious, but every plant and every like vegetable and fruit you eat has a wild ancestor. So, for example, apples. Every apple you've ever eaten comes from one species in Central Asia. So just think about it, like there's 3 or 4 different kinds in the supermarket, all taste kind of more or less alike, but they all come from one species in Central Asia. And in that place, there are thousands of species of apples. So just imagine like everything you think of as a flavor of an apple is just one of thousands. So just think there's apples the size of peas that are really sweet, or apples the size of grapefruits that are like maybe really bland, or maybe they're really great. I've never actually been there. But it's, I mean, for a cook, that's what is so interesting about wild food is discovering these forgotten flavors. Like wild fennel and cultivated fennel are nothing alike. Wild fennel has this like really intense flavor. Acorns make this amazing flour that you can, I make an acorn ice cream, and it has this like nutty deliciousness. It's like a little bitter, but it's unlike any flavor you've ever had before. So I figured I'd come up here and talk all day about foraging, but I think it'd be a lot more fun to show you. So check it out. So we're at the Sutro Bass, which are Ocean Beach, right on the edge of Golden Gate Park, and a lot of people come here just to check out the scenery, but there's actually also a lot of really great wild forage stuff here. We're on our way down to check out the wild mussels, but along the way there's also chickweed right here, which is a wild edible green. I use this as a salad green in one of my dinners, and it's got a really nice like citrusy, succulent flavor. So it pairs really well with like a champagne vinaigrette, or I throw beets in there a lot. When I'm creating a menu for one of my meals, I really just walk around and see what's available and like what's abundant, and then craft the menu around those ingredients. This is a mallow cheese. They call it that because it looks like those little Baby Bell cheeses that are wrapped in wax. You can steam them or blanch them, which is just cook them in boiling water, and yeah, very delicious. So here is actually another wild edible. It's wild radish leaves. It's a really hardy green. Like I think about it a lot like kale. Like you don't really want to eat it raw. Like you can, but it just doesn't taste very good. What I usually do is blanch it off and saute it. You can also eat the flowers that have like a really nice radishy bite to them. I usually pick off the petal and then kind of sprinkle it around. People really like to eat flowers. So I just collected 4 edible things from down there. These are wild mussels. There's a lot more grit in them than regular mussels though, so what I usually do is actually steam them, take the mussel out of the shell, and then serve the dish like that. You're actually only allowed to harvest these things by hand, so it's a really good idea to bring gloves with you. And these are little sea snails. You can buy them at Asian groceries, they call them periwinkles. You just steam those, you can eat them, put them in soup or whatever. These are gooseneck barnacles. They're really good, really tender. When you're foraging by the beach, it's better to have bigger boots than I have. I actually fall in the water a little bit. This all only took 30 minutes. We found enough for an entire meal, seafood, greens, edible foods all over the place. So no matter where you live, you'll find something. That was cool, huh? Yeah, so like I was saying, we went down to Sutro Bass to shoot that video, and we were thinking like, where would be a good place to go? We'd go out into the woods and show you wild mushrooms, but you would be like, oh yeah, to find wild food you have to go out to a place that I've never been. But I took you to Sutro Bass because I wanted to show that this stuff really is all around you. You know, a lot of you guys have probably been there before. You kind of checked it out, saw the ruins and the rocks and the ocean. It's a really beautiful place. But now, next time you go, you'll experience it in a totally different way. You know, you'll see those greens and you'll see the rocks just like totally covered in mussels. And this stuff really is all around you, and that's what's most interesting to me about foraging is the awareness that it gives you of your environment once you start to do it. Like I just started, you know, I didn't grow up foraging. I started like 4 years ago, and just the connection I have with this area is so much different than I felt with any other area, and it's because I forage, because like, you know, I was walking right outside the high school and I saw stuff that's edible. You know, I mean, it like really is wherever you go. And once you start to realize it, it gives you a really different relationship with your area. I mean, like, for example, today it was raining up in San Francisco, and like no one likes the rain, and I got soaking wet, and it was no fun. But what I also knew was that since it was raining here, it was also raining up in Santa Rosa. And up in Santa Rosa, the mushrooms were coming out. And in 2 weeks, I'll be able to go up there and pick chanterelles, and I'll be able to make an amazing dish with them. And like that's just kind of the awareness I have throughout the season. So, you know, most of you probably aren't gonna change your life and start foraging full-time like me, but I think that if you just even have a small awareness of that stuff, you know, learn a plant or two, you really see it all over, and it's really interesting. So check it out. Thank you.